Well, g'day guys, Dave Granville here. Now I'd like to introduce you to Andy Orr. Now, Andy's not just my business partner at Caloundra Fishing World. He's a very good fisherman and an exceptional cook. Now, as you can see by the surrounds here, we are doing a cooking segment today. Hopefully you guys got to watch the Coast Watch segment we did the other day. I was out in my boat with Rod and we were fortunate enough to catch a couple of Spanish mackerel. Now, I'm basically going to hand it over to Andy and he's going to run through with you guys easy to do but very special recipe for cooking fresh Spanish mackerel. So over to you, son.
Thanks, mate. Now, I love cooking fish. It's one of my favourite things to cook. The one that I'm going to do for you tonight is a little bit of a twist. It's sautéed Spanish mackerels. The fish that Dave got the other day, the Spanish mackerel, they're coming into the winter months, right? They get a really high fat content on them. Makes their eating qualities go through the roof. Now, I'll go through the process. Basically, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple recipe. What we're going to do first, we're going to cut some of this fish for you. We're going to slightly marinate it in some curry spices. We'll get over to making the curry sauce, you know, and that's why it lends itself so well to this sort of fish, you know, the lighter flavours of mackerel and things like that. Without further ado, we'll get into cutting this fish, right? About, I don't know, about a ½ inch in slices we're going to go through. Now that fish there has been skinned and it's got no bloodline. All the trimmings have been cut off of it. I think that's really, really important. You know, sort of do your homework there. So like a nice cutlet like that. You sort of see the grains going across there. So we'll just keep going through, slicing that fish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try and make them as universal as you can, as even as you can. Lay them out on the plate like so. Okay, we're going to season the fish very, very, very lightly. You don't need to over season this. You don't want to take away from the natural flavour of the mackerel. So all I use is a very light dusting of a fine curry powder over both sides of the fish. Now, you can do this over about, you know, sort of 2 hours, 3 hours. You can even leave it overnight. To be perfectly honest, I use sort of minimum marinating times with just about all the food that I do. A little bit of the old salt and a little bit of pepper on that as well. We're just going to flip that over quickly. I like to do a cucumber pickle to go with it. So it brings in the elements of sour, which is the vinegar. In there I've made a 50-50 mix of vinegar and caster sugar, which I've cooked over the stove and then let cool down, let all the sugar absorb. So quickly we'll get on with making the cucumber mix. Basically cut a cucumber in half, cut him down the center like so. Now, the other element of it is always your onion, you know, that gives you sort of savory flavor. It sort of balances out the hot and the sweet that you've got in there. So this is like a little French shallot. Now, the other part is your chili. Basically, let's just start bringing all these ingredients in. These can marinate for a while we're getting ready to cook our satay sauce, which is the next part of the whole process. Mix him up, get all that stuff incorporated. All right, now the last thing that we need to do, for this is a peanut satay, we need to grind up some of these peanuts. We're going to use peanut paste as part of the sauce. We're also going to use a red Thai curry and we're going to use coconut milk. The reason that we use the peanuts, apart from just adding that extra punch of peanut flavour into the dish, is it actually acts like a thickening agent. So it thickens and sort of makes the sauce a little bit heavier and sits on top of your meat. So basically, you know, like, go by feel. I use about a quarter of a cup, quarter to a third of a cup, and then it's just a matter of pestle and mortar. Just give everything a really good grind up until you get like a nice fine consistency. Now this is going to get added into your sauce towards the very end of it and you'll see the sauce thicken up quite dramatically. All right, so now we've got pretty much everything ready. We've done our pickle, we've got our nuts ready, we've marinated our fish. From now, it's just a matter of bringing it all over to the stove. We're going to start cooking the fish off, we're going to start cooking that sauce off, and then it's a matter of plating up and tucking in. Okay, I like to make the sauce first. You can leave it sit beside for a couple of minutes there while you get on with the fish. Okay, so to start your satay sauce, just a tablespoon or so of a good quality oil. That's a grapeseed oil there. I quite like that. It's got a high smoke point. That particular brand, Marion's, the red Thai curry paste, I've used quite a few. I'm actually quite fond of this. All of her stuff's really, really good. But in particular, this red Thai curry paste is just absolutely perfect for this dish. So what we need to do, we need about a tablespoon. Will get you out of trouble, right? Now, beware, it spits. And the oil's hot, that's just part of life. So break that down and start moving it around and getting all those flavors activated. Get that heat going, okay? So we'll back that off just a little bit there. Like I said, beware, it does spit. It's all part and parcel of cooking curry pastes. So once you start to smell the garlic and all those beautiful herbs and spices in there starting to come out in the paste, it's now time to start to incorporate your coconut milk. So we'll just put a cup in there, anywhere, like depending on how many people you're feeding, you know, how much you use, of course. A lot of these recipes are not exact. That's what I love about curries, you know, like just go by feel. If you're cooking for a bigger crowd, you can just double your ingredients. What we're cooking tonight is a pretty good feed for 3 hungry blokes, I reckon. So just keep it moving, keep it moving. This is a really, really hot stove, so we're getting loads and loads of heat in there, which is great. It's going to cook it nice and quickly there. So from that point now, we can just put that aside. What we're going to do is add in some peanut butter. This is a dark roasted crunchy, about a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. Once again, there's no hard and fast rule. This just brings in more of those sort of peanut flavors. So we've got a good dollop in there of that. Once again, it's quite thick, so we actually need to bring that around a little bit and sort of break it down just that little bit. So this sort of whisk is really quite handy for doing that. You can just break it up into small pieces like that. Most of these dishes, for your salt element, you're going to use fish sauce, right? You know, I generally, about a teaspoon to a tablespoon. Once again, we'll taste all this at the very end there and adjust it as need be. So that's about a teaspoon there. Caster sugar for this dish, this is going to add in that sort of, break down some of the savoury elements and the hot elements. About a little bit more, 2 teaspoons, 2 good teaspoons of your caster sugar in there, like that. Put that aside. Now we just want to keep bringing that all around to incorporate all those sorts of, all those ingredients in there. While we're doing that, we might swap these pans around, and we're going to put this one off over to the side, and we're going to bring the big pan over to the bigger element. Minding we don't burn ourselves, like so. Get that pan starting to heat up. This is what we're going to cook our Spanish on, okay? So that sauce is looking just about right. The only thing it needs now is that crushed up peanut. Like I said before, this stuff, apart from adding the flavour and the texture, it's a natural thickening sort of a part of the dish. So we just bring that in there and stir that around, and that can sort of just do its own thing for a little while we concentrate on the mackerel. About a good tablespoon, once again, of that grapeseed oil. Bring that around the pan so everyone gets a little bit of the action. And then this mackerel will not take a great deal of time to cook. About 2 minutes on one side, about 1.5 minutes on the other. You should just about be right. It's only a thin sort of a fillet, so you don't need to overcook it. Please don't overcook it. That's the worst thing you can do with your fish. Even if it's a little translucent when you're taking it off the actual pan, you'll find that it's still cooking. And then we can also incorporate it into the sauce and just gently poach it through at the very end. If you want to sort of have it as a dinner party, you can have the whole thing all as one, and then everyone can just serve themselves. Just about enough room there for everyone. Look at that. Everyone gets a spot. Okay, so a good tip when you're cooking this mackerel, you can actually, especially when you're pan frying like this, you can actually see the window of the mackerel sort of cooking all the way through. When you get to about halfway through, it's time to flip it over. You'll start to get a lot of the aromatics starting to cook through too, that curry powder there, so your turmerics and your cumin and all those sorts of flavours starting to come through. Well, we've come to that magic 2-minute mark. That fish is ready to start turning over. You'll see it's just starting to go golden brown on that side there. Be nice and gentle at this stage. This fish is very, very, very delicate. It's a firm-fleshed fish, but you know, sort of treat it gently as you flip it over. You don't want it to break open. Okay, so we're just about at that point now where the fish is fully cooked through. Okay, you can use the residual heat of the pan at this stage to let it just keep cooking. So just turn him off. All good there. So now basically it's just a matter of plating up some rice, putting our fish on, dressing it with some sauce, putting some lovely aromatics over and tucking on in. We're just about done here, so I'll get over to the table and get on with that. We've got it all cooked, we're ready to eat. So I'm going to throw some of this mackerel on the plate. It's just been sitting there resting very, very nicely in the pan while we've been getting all the other bits and pieces sorted. Now, you're probably thinking traditionally satay is on a skewer. Well, not necessarily. I find with the fish being as delicate as it is with the turning process, and when they're cut into smaller pieces, they tend to break a little bit. So that's why I like to use these sort of cutlet sized pieces like that. So got that. We're going to dress it with a little bit of this beautiful peanut satay sauce. You want to smell this. It smells amazing. So just drizzle that over. Now, I do tend to go a little sauce heavy. It's all about the sauce for me. So I'll put a little bit on there, and I might add a little bit after. To garnish it all up, just to put a little bit of colour and a little bit extra flavour there, cilantro or you know, like those sorts of things, or a little bit of green onion like that. Coriander, that's what we call it. It's not cilantro, let's just call it coriander. Now, your pickle, just put that on the side. Now, you don't want too much of the pickling vinegar there. It's done its job. It's flavoured and sweetened that dish. So we're just going to put that off to the side. And like I said, it's just a fresh, light, crunchy accompaniment to sort of offset the savoury tones of the fish there. All right, guys, well, here we are. We're done. We're ready to eat. So I need to call over a couple of hungry mouths by the sounds of things. Dave, are you ready to come and try some?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Grab yourself a fork and dig in.
Oh, dear. I'm literally salivating here. I've been hearing about this satay mackerel at work every week, but I've never tasted it. So, oh my God.
Beautiful, eh?
Wow. Ori, you've outdone yourself,
Now,
mate.
would you like to try some of the green pickles there?
Oh, you know how much I love that stuff. Now that's my plate. What are you going to eat?
I'll just have the rest of the stuff in the pan there, yeah.
No worries. Yeah. Now, I guess it'd be pretty rude not to invite.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Our cameraman Rod, how about you come in and have a
on
taste
in,
too, mate?
Have a crack.
There's a fork there for you.
What? Yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah.
Get plenty of sauce on that rice. That's where it's at. So beautiful and delicate and light. Like from, you know, strong tasting old Spanish mackerel, when it's handled like this, when it, you know, right from what you guys did from the very beginning, leads up to it tasting like this. Like mackerel traditionally is an oily, strong tasting sort of a fish. Now that is as delicate as a reef fish. You cannot taste one.
It does. It tastes like coral trout.
Exactly. It flakes apart. It falls apart perfectly. And to be perfectly honest, like I put this dish together for my family in around 20 to 25 minutes from scratch at home. Yeah. So, you know, there's no reason, oh, I don't have time, I can't do it. Bunch of basic ingredients, most of which you've got in your kitchen already, in your, you know, in your larder already. You can get all this stuff, keep it at home, and, you know, bash a meal like this together in no time flat. So
awesome.
It's a winner for me.
Well, there you go, guys. That's your first cooking segment with Andy Orr, and hope you enjoyed it. I think something tells me it's not going to be the last. What do you reckon, Rod?
It won't be the last. Definitely going to do much more.
So yeah, you never know. We might even see him out with a fishing rod in his hand as well. So,
I do that as well, yeah, for sure.
Beautiful work. Well, mate, we got to eat the rest of this and let everyone go and cook their own. So we'll catch you next time, guys.
Good on you, fellas. Thank you. See ya.
Stay tuned for more videos on these Spanish mackerel we caught. There's a lot more to come, so join the Coastwatch Club and don't forget to subscribe to the Coastwatch YouTube channel. And as Brownie always said, don't destroy what you came to enjoy.